For my historical speech, I decided I would do it on Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States. Theodore Roosevelt was born on October 27, 1858, in Manhattan, New York. He was born to a father, Theodore, who was a glass importer and one of New York's leading philanthropists. His mother, Martha, was just your average Southern woman who was forced to move north due to her husband. Theodore was the second child of four children. He had an older sister, Anna, and two younger siblings, Elliot and Corinne. Growing up, Theodore's nickname was Teddy. He absolutely loved being outdoors and the studying of books, so he decided he would put the two together and study nature. He would often keep his biological specimens, dead birds, mice, fish, snakes, etc., in the house, which would obviously lead to some terrible smells. But he studied them very in depth and learned so much by doing this. He also struggled with chronic asthma, but it didn't hold him back from living as normal a life as he could. When the Civil War struck in the 1860s, it was difficult times in the Roosevelt household. Teddy's father worked for President Lincoln at the time, who was for the North, the Union soldiers. And his mother, being from the South, obviously supported the Confederate soldiers. So all the while, Teddy's father was working to support the Union soldiers and make their lives easier. Teddy's mother was sending care packages to relatives behind enemy lines. This didn't change Teddy's view. He wanted to be a Union soldier and fight for what he thought was right. At age 13, he found out that he was nearsighted and was forced to wear glasses. But this didn't bother him now because it opened up a whole new world for him, and he was able to see things that he never saw before, and it only made his study of nature even better. Every single child in the Roosevelt household was homeschooled by their mother and a French governess. And shortly after Teddy's 18th birthday, he entered Harvard in the fall of 1876. While studying at Harvard, he met Alice Hathaway there, and she refused his first marriage proposal, but they continued to court throughout his senior year. He asked her to marry him for the second time their senior year, and she accepted. After his senior year at Harvard, on his 22nd birthday, they married. He graduated 22nd in his class, cum laude, and was awarded his Bachelor of Arts degree. Shortly after, he entered into Columbia University School of Law, where he was so bored that he decided he'd write his first book, History of the Naval War of 1812. And this is that. Then he dropped out after his first semester. In 1881, he held public office as the Assembly of New York and was reelected twice in 82 and 83. In 84, while out campaigning and speaking, his wife and mother died within 12 hours of each other. His wife was in childbirth, it was in child labor, and she gave birth to their first daughter, Alice, who was named after his wife. Soon after this, he took a break from politics and moved to the Dakotas. In 1886, he returned to politics and ran for mayor of New York, although he lost. While there, he met his childhood friend Edith Kermit Sherrow, and they had 5 kids because they married: Theodore Jr., Kermit, Archie, Ethel, and Quentin. In 1896, he was appointed to the Secretary of the Navy. In 1898, the Spanish-American War arose, and he left his chair as Secretary of the Navy and was a volunteer lieutenant colonel of the Army. Upon his return to New York, he was the governor of New York because he was a hero and the people loved him for what he did during the Spanish-American War. In 1900, he became vice president for President William McKinley, who was assassinated shortly after his inauguration in 1901. So that automatically made Theodore Roosevelt the 26th president of the United States. During his 2 terms as president, he was able to complete the Panama Canal and was the first president to travel outside the United States, although the Panama Canal did not open until 1914. He obviously made a big deal about the conservation of forests and water. He also created Meat Inspection Act and the FDA. He held a Republican Congress for both terms, and in 1906 he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for ending the war between Russia and Japan. In 1912, He had an attempted assassination by John Shank in Milwaukee. He was shot in the chest and still gave his speech during his presidential campaign. January 6, 1919, while at his house in Oyster Bay, he died a silent death from a blood clot in his heart and was buried in Oyster Bay without any funeral or anything. This is the article from his death in the New York Times. Thank you for your time.